I think so far this has been one of the most intriguing and entertaining starts to a Premier League that we've ever had, because it's wide open. It's absolutely wide open. There are so many question marks around so many clubs that's what makes it fascinating.
Suze disagrees.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? This is Liverpool's season.
She was like, this is kind of nice.
No.
It's a nice season. So far.
No. Come on, guys. Right. Suze, have Liverpool been questioned? Because they didn't come into the season under huge pressure. They weren't amongst the title favourites. It was all Manchester City and Arsenal. Fantastic what they've done. They've answered every question.
What is going on at Manchester City? 4 losses in a row now, Geoff. This is the first time in Pep Guardiola's career that he has suffered 4 losses in a row. What is happening at Manchester City?
I'm actually trying to work out, Suze, if there's more delight in your voice at Liverpool's success at the moment or Manchester City's current downfall. And I'll be honest with you, it's a really hard thing to define. You're loving this, aren't you, right now?
I am. It's quite fun. I can't lie.
Well, all I would say is with Manchester City, we've been here before. We've seen this before. They've been more points behind the leaders later in the season, and there's been a comeback. So, yes, they're not playing well right now. Yes, they've got problems. Results not going their way, as we just said, but write them off at your peril. They've got a very, very big squad. They've got a strong squad as well. But I think for both them and Arsenal, this international break could not come soon enough. They desperately need a reset. But again, ominous signs. Pep Guardiola, post-match, he wasn't sulking, he wasn't brooding. He was very much, bring it on. I know other people want us to fail. Success isn't eternal. We're never going to win the Premier League for the next 50 years. But they're up for a fight. He's really up for a fight. He likes the challenge. So, yeah, great news for their rivals right now, but I think it would be very foolish to write off Manchester City.
Well, I agree with you, Geoff. I think if there's any team that has the experience to come back and find a way through a tumultuous moment of the season, it is Manchester City. But it feels like you're downplaying a bit what's going on at City, the manners in which they've lost these games. Rodri has been out. From a functionality perspective, you lose a decent amount without Rodri in the midfield. Yes, Kovacic was great setting up Haaland for his first goal, but over a longer period of time, it looks like it'll be more difficult for Manchester City to find firm footing like they have in the past. Yeah,
I think you're right, Nico. Basically, they are easier to counter against than they have been previously. The statistics will prove that as well. Kovacic, you're quite right. And again, he encapsulated straight away. Lovely assist. But he hasn't got a defensive bone in his body, has he? He's just not that player. So they're not set up in the way. They've got injuries at the back. I mean, apparently Akanji and Ake were only fit enough to be on the subs bench at the weekend. That's why they couldn't be used. And I'm told that Kyle Walker is currently playing with a bad knee injury as well. So then, how many times have we seen his pace get them out of trouble? We've seen that plenty of times. So it's not happening for them right now. Can they fix that? And the central part to your question is, can they get around the Rodri conundrum as to what they do, who comes in? You can't directly replace the Ballon d'Or winner. It's just not possible. Nope. But you can do other things. And if you said, OK, of all the coaches in the Premier League, where would you put Pep in terms of being inventive, being creative and finding a solution to the problem? You're going to put him at the top of the list. But I agree with you. Yes, we've seen them do this before, and we've seen them do it if like under more pressure. We're only just into November, but right now, having to do it without Rodri, this is going to be
it feels like
a big challenge.
Has one foot out the door, though. No, Geoff? As well?
Yeah, Charlie's hardly featured, has he? He's had injury problems of his own as well. His situation is unclear, and how much can they rely on him? His body, it's breaking down. It can't take as much as it used to. So again, it's the questions around Manchester City. I've got to say, I think so far this has been one of the most intriguing and entertaining starts to a Premier League that we've ever had, because it's wide open. It's absolutely wide open. There are so many question marks around so many clubs that's what makes it fascinating.
Suze disagrees.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? This is Liverpool's season.
She was like, this is kind of nice.
No.
It's a nice season so far.
No. Come on, guys. Right. Suze, have Liverpool been questioned? Because they didn't come into the season under huge pressure. They weren't amongst the title favourites. It was all Manchester City and Arsenal. Fantastic what they've done. They've answered every question. But what about when the pressure starts to come? And they've got 5...
You don't think they've been under pressure, Geoff? They're playing in Champions League.
No.
Bayer Leverkusen.
When it comes to maintaining...
The expectations of replacing a Jurgen Klopp, I think that there have been pressure.
No, they were not amongst the front runners. They were not amongst the bookies' favourites, the first two places for the Premier League this season. So it's how they handle it when they are, they weren't expected to be here at this stage of the season. Nobody other than you and
do they
fans
deserve to be there, Geoff, based on what you've seen?
Of course they do.
Thank you.
Of course they do, because they're scoring more goals than other teams and they're conceding fewer. But a question I ask you then, Suze, do you think they've been completely in control in every single game that they played?
Certainly not. Not completely.
So the chances that Villa took at the weekend, other teams will take those chances. Look at the goals Aston Villa conceded 2 goals from corners. Will other teams give up that opportunity?
Right, and I think there's a fair point. Like, sure, Liverpool weren't the favourites, but the pressure will start turning on with a different taste than it has now. Right now, it's almost like they've exceeded expectations because no one had them at this stage. And they're playing very well, and I don't want to take anything. Nobody should take anything away from Liverpool at the moment. But the schedule will only get harder.
Yeah, they haven't gotten to the hard part of the season yet.
The stakes will only get higher, and it's how you deal with it.
So 5-point lead right now.
5-point lead.
If they were to lose, would it be a failure?
Exactly what I said.
No, it wouldn't be a failure, but Liverpool has certain standards, but still, it's going to be difficult, is what I'm saying. Like, everything is great. No, they haven't won the Premier League. Great for them to be top of the table, but no one's won anything at this point. We're in November. The Premier League champion is crowned in May.
And may I
There's
remind
still a
everyone
long way to
that Arsenal
go.
bottled the league with a similar lead, so it would be considered by some a bit of a failure. I also, if you look at their schedule coming up...
Yeah, but Arsenal was so much closer. Arsenal was so much later in the season.
But they've got Real Madrid coming up, Manchester City coming up, Newcastle coming up, Everton coming up.
It's just, at what point?
We don't want to...
They're legit.
Yeah, of course they're legit.
They're absolutely
We've only just
legit.
They're in first place for a reason.
They are on top of the Champions League standings, the only perfect team remaining in Champions League, and 5 points clear on top of the Premier League table. And you're telling me that this team hasn't, established themselves as a legitimate contender?
Are they the best team in Europe right now?
No one said they weren't.
Between them and Barcelona.
Jeff, are they the best team in Europe right now?
Between them and Barcelona, right now, in this moment.
I think they're producing the best results. Whether or not the best team is open to debate.
Okay.
So
That's a good way to put it.
They're on the top of the table on merit. But as to my point about the game, the Aston Villa, that game at the weekend, that could easily have gone the other way. You wouldn't.
But it didn't, Geoff. And Liverpool, this is what they do.
And
several games, they have been poor in the first half. They've been poor in the first half, and they make adjustments and come back. That's what good teams do. If you're not playing your best soccer and you still find ways to win, to me, that is a very big indicator of a strong team.
Suze has been triggered.
When you win.
This is Suze Klopp.
Suze, I think you've been dazzled in that you're seeing the shine of the Premier League trophy way too early in May.
I'm not. Did I say that? No, I did not. I think that it's been very interesting to watch City and Arsenal kind of stumble, and those were the two teams that were the clear title contenders. Everyone was talking about this being a 2-horse race. Liverpool, have they exceeded expectations? 100%. But let them enter the conversation, and I'm tired of people saying they haven't been tested, because I actually think these matches that they've won have been quite difficult.
To Jeff's point, Tottenham was top of the table at this time last season.
Yeah.
And if Liverpool, who I think have a better squad, they're better suited
and
to
a better
win.
and a very forged identity.
They're
Yes.
deep. They've got a deep roster. Trent just went down with an injury, but then they've got a guy like
Suze, you got to look at the details. When I said they haven't been questioned, that was talking about whether or not they can win the title this season. Of course they can. Would Manchester City or Arsenal like to be in their shoes right now? Of course they would. The questions that will arise is if they are still in that position deeper into the season, and then there becomes an expectation as opposed to a chance. Those are the questions that you have to answer across an entire season. You'd be absolutely foolish not to say they're part of the conversation now. They've done the first part. It's to say we're only 11 games in. Start the season, as I said, and you echoed, it was all about Arsenal and Manchester City. Now it's the talk of Liverpool and Manchester City, and we can come to Arsenal in a moment. So they have forced their way into the conversation.
Jeff, you're messed up. You just called Arne Postecoglou. Yeah. That's messed up. How are you going to do that to Suze?
I didn't call him that. That's the way it's going to be clipped, dude. Welcome to Morning Footy. Let me ask you, Jeff, what do you make, moving on a little bit from Liverpool to their opponent, this last opponent, what do you make of Villa's stumble as of late?
Funny one. It's hard to work out, isn't it? I mean, they got absolutely ripped apart at Tottenham the other week. It was so unlike an Unai Emery performance. You know, when we think of him, we think about the structure, the discipline, the cohesiveness of their side. And he just fell away. Bizarre loss in Europe down to, I still can't get my head around Tyrone Mings. And then just, I don't know. It's all part of this mix at the moment of the Premier League. You'd be very foolish to be betting a lot of money right now because all of it is so unpredictable. So unpredictable. It's crazy what's going on.
It is. I didn't expect Liverpool to be where they are at this point. I didn't expect City to stumble the way they have. And the thing is that we've seen City stumble before, and then they seemingly always find a way to get themselves back on track.
Also, remember, we're saying 4 losses. It's 2 in the Premier League, which is still a lot. A lot more.
It's right now though. It's Arsenal that's the interesting one. Is it? Is that it? Is that now? Is that the last rites for Arsenal's Premier League title this season? I wouldn't say it's the last rites, but I'd say a priest has been notified, and so have close family, and there's grave concern. Put it that way.
9 points at this point. How do you guys feel about 9 points?
Never been done before.
It's never been done before, Geoff?
Never been done before. So they'll be making history if they turn it around. I mean, I was at the bridge yesterday, and that was Arsenal's strongest 11, pretty much, that they've fielded. That is their best 11. And it was a better performance. It was an encouraging performance. But again, they've lost. That's 8 points they've dropped from winning positions this season. They only dropped 9 from winning positions last season, the whole of the season, and 8 the whole of the previous season. But perhaps I thought the most telling thing was, we go back to, as when we talk about City dropping points, we will talk about Rodri. With Arsenal, for whatever reason, people always go straight to the number 9 and Kai Havertz. And I just jotted down what Mikel Arteta said in his press conference. He said, we didn't put our chances away. We haven't had that determination in the box to make it happen, just hoping it's going to happen. And that's very different thing in football. That's almost a tacit admission that they don't have that sharp-eyed, if you like, cold-eyed striker in the box.
Jeff,
right
we've been saying that since last year. For me, there's one thing that really grinds my gears, and it's the false 9, not having a proper striker play at the forward position, because it's a mentality that you have when you're a real striker about, this is my ball in the box. There's a certain selfishness that you need as a 9.
Charlie, do you agree with me that his quote alluded to that there?
Yes, I do. And Havertz has done a great job playing in that role, because he can drop into midfield and pull defenders out of space, but he doesn't have the killer instinct. That's not how he's been groomed to play. when you are a striker, there's certain runs you make, there's certain intuition you have, and the 1v1 ability in the box to create your own shot. He doesn't have any of those.
If Arsenal doesn't have that, and you look down the line, I was watching those next 10 minutes. Yeah, could have gone Arsenal's way, the last play of the game, but Arsenal's going to be in that position often. And I'm looking at the squad.
Who's going to win you games off the bench?
There's no game changer.
There's no game changer.
There's no game winner, right? And sure, Havertz will fulfill a certain quota of goals because he's a good player, right?
But 10 goals,
but exactly,
12
but
goals?
not even. But from the 80th minute on, when you need to eke out a win, when you need to get that guy that will change things. It felt like Trossard was that guy last season, but now he's playing a more prominent role, maybe from the start or centrally or wide or whatever.
He was on the bench more. It's by committee, and the entire committee is failing right now.
There's been a collective drop off of performances. Martinelli has been. I know he scored at the weekend, and that may turn things around for him. His performances and goals have dropped off. Trossard's performances have dropped off, and Havertz isn't delivering the same way that he delivered last season either. So it's all over the pitch. I mean, Odegaard coming back, you could see, made a huge difference. But this was a much, much better performance from Arsenal. And ordinarily, you just say, OK, a 1-1 draw at Chelsea is not a bad result. Let's not forget, Chelsea are third in the table right now. So it's not a bad result, but it's in context with the other results that it's a poor result and where it leaves them in the table. You know, they had a reset last year. He took them to Dubai, but they need to go on a run within 5 or 6 games to get their aura back, to get their belief back. And to be honest with you, just to hang on to the coattails of Liverpool and Manchester City to a degree and keep themselves in the race. I've said this time and time again. You cannot win the Premier League at Christmas, but you can lose it. And right now, Arsenal are in real danger of that.
Ooh. Yeah. International break coming at a good time for some of these teams.
See, look, Sue's cheered up when I said that. Question Liverpool, and she's all over me like a Rottweiler.
She's not as mad at you anymore.
Geoff, no, I love bantering with you, Geoff. That was fun.